he could not grasp the concept of human emotions, even though he was a very emotional man. And also, he's like super pro-capitalist. Oh. Hello everybody, my name is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be rating the books that I read last year. Now I'm getting into my reading bag. In the recent couple of years I've just been reading, like I've rediscovered my love for reading. So this stack of books here, now this is not all the copies, like oh my gosh, I feel like the booktubers. Hold on. Dummy. Okay, here are the books that I read, and we're just gonna be rating them. And I'm gonna use my phone because I have Goodreads, so I can like recount the memories I have from reading the book. First book I read was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is a part of the Dreamland Billionaire series about, you know, three brothers who are filthy rich, just about them running their little business, doing what they do, X, Y, and Z. I've read two of them. I'm about to read the third one, but this one is my favorite for the simple fact that I love Declan. I'll give it like a 4.2 out of 5. I just really loved his relationship with Iris, and the thing I liked about him is even though he was an out-of-touch billionaire, he had some charm, he had some swag, he had that thing about him that really just like I could get on board with that type of character. And also Iris, she kind of annoyed me as a character. That's why I kind of rated it low, because she's literally giving up her whole life for this one man. But if you think about it with context, she's already done that, so it's like, you know, a marriage of convenience or whatever is no really big deal. I just kind of dislike the pacing kind of in the middle part, because Declan, I will say, he is one stubborn main character, but what are you gonna do? He's a billionaire, so I mean, next, the fine print, which is, I think this is actually the first one, but I read them backwards. Anyways, this one is with Rowan, his brother. I gave this one a 2 out of 5. Not because it's like bad writing or X, Y, and Z. I just hated Rowan. See how big my review is for this? I said never have I ever finished a book still disliking the main love interest. Rowan is so impossibly selfish, has no game, so robotic, and is an out-of-touch billionaire. One pet peeve I really had about him was that he could not grasp the concept of human emotions, even though he was a very emotional man. And also, he's like super pro-capitalist. He was cutting people's healthcare wages and stuff. He was just so unlikable. I rarely ever do this when I read a romance book, but I was hoping by the end of the book they never got together. I should have known better. They did get together, obviously, and I was really upset about that, because I thought I like the female main character. She had enough individuality, enough spunk to, I'm gonna put on my earrings. So I thought she would like have her own free will to be like, yeah, I don't need this man, but he was a billionaire, so I mean, I guess that's just what goes down these days. Anyways, on to the next book. The next one was The Idea of You by Robinne Lee. I love this book. This is actually, out of this whole list of books, this is my second favorite. It was so freaking good. It was so different than all the other like romancy books that I typically read. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 because that's what Robinne Lee deserves. It was so good. It basically follows the story of like this mother, single mother. She kind of just fell for like this Harry Styles type dude in a boy band. They have rendezvous from Tokyo to LA to Germany to like everywhere. But then in the end, spoiler alert, they don't get together. And actually I was so distraught. Like when I finished reading the book, I was like, are you kidding me, woman? You spent like half of the year with this man and he was ready to leave it all for you. And she said, no, don't do that. And I gotta respect it. Listen, she's way better than me, because I would have dropped everything. I would have dropped everything for like a Harry Styles like boy band musician. The only annoying part about it was every other like chapter or so, she would remind us and remind the main love interest. She'd be like, oh my gosh, but I'm 30. Like, can't like, or no, she'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm 30 something. I'm just so old. I'm blah 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 blah. I just can't like, I'm acting like a teenager. I'm so old. I'm like, girl, we get it. We get it, you're a grown woman. Now enjoy your fun. Like, what are you talking about? But that was that book. I actually really enjoyed that book. Next thing I read, let's just get this out of the way. I give this a 2 out of 5. Don't read it. It's such an old book. The only reason I read it is because It's a part of a 5-book series, and I never finished the series. I was continuing the series, and I'm not going to finish the series because after reading this, I'm literally not even gonna waste my time speaking about this book. Just don't. Out of sight, out of mind, you know what I'm saying? Next, I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. Yes, I said Colleen Hoover. Trigger warning, I'm so sorry. This book actually kind of took me off guard. The only reason I bought it was because I saw that it was new. I didn't like, this is one of the newest books. I'm like, okay, let me just see what it's about. And I actually really liked it. I think I gave it, let's see what I rated it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5, only because it had me on my toes. I think this book was just a sign for me to actually start reading more suspenseful thrillers, because I don't really browse that genre. After reading this book, I'm definitely going to, because I liked the feeling of, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen next? Oh my gosh, this woman is crazy, but is she really crazy? And this was like a romance thriller, and it's a lot. This book is not for the weak because it's a lot. A lot is going down in this book. Basically, this woman, she was hired as a ghostwriter for this author who's now like a vegetable, essentially, like, you know, brain dead or whatever. She's still alive, but yeah, she has to finish this book series, and then she goes to like move in with the family so she can just do her work there, get the work done, get the writing done, and go. Then she starts falling for the author's husband because, you know, they're in the same house, you know, there's tension, X, Y, and Z. And while she's reading the manuscript of the, you know, author who's a vegetable now, you start to find out this woman is actually insane. Like, she's psychotic. One thing I actually really liked about this book is that the main character, she was kind of unreliable, because as I was reading the book, I was like, something's not quite right with the main character. Something's not all the way screwed in on her head. I said, love the book, finished it in 1 week. Such an interesting second plot about the wife, aka the vegetable author, was so gripping and page turning. Female main character was slightly annoying, but for decent reasons. Now this is the part that got me. I said, she turns into a major weirdo at the end. I don't trust her. Same with the husband. I didn't trust him at all. Basically, I'm gonna spoil it right now. By the end of it, when he discovered something really just like dangerous and shocking about his vegetable wife, the author, he was like so ready to kill her. Like, I'm pretty sure they did kill her. And that's what and then the main character, the ghostwriter, she was so on board with the murder. And I'm like, weren't y'all just judging the vegetable author because she did a murder? And it's like, your morals are loose, you know what I'm saying? And then after they did the murder, and after the female main character witnessed the murder, they like got turned on by each other. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish I had pearls to grip, because I'm just like, oh my gosh. So that was that book. Despite all of that, it was just so messy, so scary. And not scary, but you know, like side-eye scary. I read Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy. I really love Elle Kennedy's writing. She's very good at writing like university-aged characters, like realistically, which is funny that I say that because the girl in this book, who's like 21 or so, is so unrealistic. But like aside from that, like in general, I love Elle Kennedy and her writing. I give it a 3 out of 5. I would say 3.5 out of 5 because I really liked the way the guy was written. He was written so comfortably, if that makes sense. The girl, rich girl with out-of-touch parents, meets a surfer boy from a small town, not as rich. Their paths cross. The premise of them meeting was like, oh, I'm gonna get back at her boyfriend by stealing his girl, which is like, okay, that's a little childish, but once you keep reading and whatnot, I like it. I think I just really liked the guy in this book. What's his name? Cooper. This book right here, I have never read a book where they describe the main male character as attractive, and I actually really believe it. This book was so good at being like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Heads turn when he walks. Because he even knew he was handsome. He wasn't even full of himself like that, but like you could just tell through the pages. He was just oozing handsomeness. And I was like, dang, like this guy must really be hot. I hope I make sense when I'm describing this. Like I've just never had a book telling me this man is attractive, and I'm like, dang, he must be really attractive, because the way just everything was written. Maybe it's just the confidence bouncing off of him or something, but I actually like the book too, because usually I'm a little bit selfish when I read books, meaning when the story starts talking about the side characters or their parents, I kind of tune out because I'm not here for them. But I actually really like, you know, them showing the dysfunctional relationships between her parents and his absentee mom. I actually really liked it, and it was giving Outer Banks vibes. It was giving a lot of Outer Banks vibes, and I actually really liked that. This whole book was just written so well, so I didn't feel like it was dragging when it was talking about like their friends' problems or X, Y, and Z and yada yada yada. So there's that one. Next, this is the last book I'm showing in this video. Not the last book I read last year, but this has to be my favorite out of this whole list. Normal People by Sally Mother effing Rooney. And I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I'm kind of late to reading the book, but let me tell y'all the backstory with this, okay? This book got adapted into a mini series on Hulu. I think it was like last summer or 2 summers ago. Anyways, I watched it. Let me back up. I saw the trailers for it. I said no thank you. I was bored. I watched the show. I fell in love. I was, oh my gosh, that show broke me. It tore me down, brought me back up. I watched it a second time back to back, and it broke me again. After I finished watching the show, I was so lost, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, you know what, let me read the book. There's little dialogue really, and a lot of it's just thinking and feeling, and the show did a great job of portraying that, but the book obviously is like even better because you can really get in their mind. Anyways, it's about Connell and Mary Ann. It follows them from high school to almost the end of college. They're in Ireland, they're Irish. Connell is, in the beginning at least, I did not like him. I was like, Connell, you have no spine, you have no backbone, you're just kind of a loser, and you let other people get bullied right in front of you by your friends. Like, that's loser behavior. But then he grew up and I actually loved him. I was like, Connell, that's my baby right there. That's my man, might as well be. Mary Ann, she is, you know, kind of wealthy, but kind of like a black sheep. Like, she's kind of, you know, the odd one out because everybody thinks she's like freaking ugly for some reason, but I don't really think she's like actually ugly. That's just, you know, high school behavior. Their relationship is really weird because Connell is not ready to show her off like that, and she's like, okay, well, I'll still be here. They're basically growing together, you know. In high school, Marianne had no type of self-respect. Connell had no respect for Marianne, and at the same time he was deeply insecure. The show goes on, he's like learning how to be more in tune with himself, and with Marianne, hers is learning how to be more accepting of herself and more kind to herself. And the thing is, like, Connell like really does love this girl, but he did her so dirty in the beginning, and that kind of like scarred her self-perception. And like, it sounds really bad. It's such a beautiful story because as they get older, they like, you know, kind of realize we were kind of idiots, you know what I'm saying? Connell's like, yeah, I'm so incredibly sorry, because that's really the only one he's ever loved. He ain't never loved nobody like he loved Mary Ann. It's hard for her to accept his love because she now thinks that because of who she is, she can only accept, you know, love in the form of abuse, and that's really not that good. But by the end, it's like people grow together and they grow apart, and then they, you know, come back together, and it's just really nice and beautiful. And by the end, they're kind of a bit more mature. Obviously, I would hope they're more mature by the end of college. It kind of leaves it up in the air. Connell has a chance to go study abroad for a year, and Marianne's like, you should go serve your purpose in the world. But he's like, but I want to be with you. You're my #1 girl. And she's like, yeah, I know that. But I feel like Marianne is still kind of adverse to taking big risks and life steps with Connell for good reason. But at the end, I was like, girl, just pick him, because at this point he's begging on his knees saying, pick me, choose me. And Marianne's like, let's wait and see. It's a really beautiful book. And also just watch the show. The show is even more great. Like, Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones ate that role up. Like, yeah, that's all I have to say about the book. I just freaking love it. But yeah, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you liked the book content. I will be happy to post more. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. If you really liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. That's it.